If election stress is at an all-time high, election strife is right up there with it, with people having opposing views. We have a group of Trump supporters right in front of the voter registrars. Experts say you can't have a civil discussion without going below the belt or blocking each other.
It points out, I think, that this country is really split down the middle.
Not seeing eye to eye at all.
We went back and forth between fear and hope.
Even neighbors clash over politics.
I'm still hoping for Trump.
This tension between neighbors and family members and coworkers to the point where it's become so emotional.
So emotional after a controversial election. How can two opposing views coexist?
The first step is to be actively aware of your own body language, your own biases.
Stephen Dinkin, president of National Conflict Resolution Center, says check your tone of voice, respond respectively, and don't avoid talking politics at the dinner table.
We need to engage in the conversation, because if we avoid the conversation and stay within our own silo, it tends to radicalize our own beliefs, and we're not exposed to other perspectives.
How to broach the tough topics over Thanksgiving during the coronavirus pandemic, coupled with the strain of shutdowns, job loss, and increased isolation from loved ones. Dinkin says practice makes progress.
Whether my wife has a different perspective or our children have a different perspective, we practice the dialogue, and we talk about challenging issues, and we purposely bring those up.
With votes for president still being counted, anxiety and anger are rising.
I think it depends on who ends up winning. To be honest, I think if Trump wins another 4 years, I'm done.
To realize that we can agree to disagree.
Dinkin suggests signing off social media for a time and try this exercise of listening.
One person begins with their point of view, and before you respond with your own perspective, what we teach is that you have to repeat or summarize what the other person said.
This ensures each person feels heard. Also, take a break to cool off.
If you're too frustrated, perhaps just take a step back and don't engage in the conversation until a week or 2 weeks when things settle down.
Heather Hope, News 8.
And another piece of advice he says is just to log off social media for a time, take a break, and make sure that you don't talk out of anger. Heather, Carlo.
We really have to be careful with that, and taking a brain break from social media, not a bad idea. Heather, did he say anything we can just sort of do in our own homes, when maybe some breathing exercises or something to sort of calm ourselves down?
Yes, one exercise that he says he does even with his own family and his kids is a good listening exercise, where when you're practicing going around the table, everyone says their own piece of advice, that you repeat the last person's response before you then say your own response. So it shows that you're listening and the other person feels like they're being heard.